Today on Rappler, 6 top candidates are proclaimed senators. Nancy Binay skips the proclamation ceremony. And the Commission on Elections stops the publication of election results from the transparency server. Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. The National Board of Canvassers proclaims the top 6 candidates senators of the Republic of the Philippines: Grace Poe, Loren Legarda, Alan Peter Cayetano, Cheese Escudero, Nancy Binay, and Sonny Angara. Let's take a look now at the official count as of this moment. This is the COMELEC 7th Canvass Report. If you take a look, you have Grace Poe with 6,978,111, Loren Legarda with 6,405,625, Alan Peter Cayetano, it's on my screen, 5,989,369, Cheese Escudero at 5,944,573, Nancy Binay at 5,787,423, and Sonny Angara at 5,593,601. Approximately, that is actually the unofficial count, but the unofficial count and the official count now actually have the same 12 senators on board in the magic 12. Now you're seeing the tally here of the official count, and there you go. You've got the most recent, the top 6 have been proclaimed. The most interesting thing here, though, is that you basically have only 72 out of 301 COCs counted. That's about 24% of the votes. So these 6 senators, the new senators, were proclaimed with just 24% of the votes counted. Let's go now to Paterno Esmaquiel, who's standing by at PICC. Paterno, what do you have?
Hi, Maria. What's interesting here is that Nancy Binay, one of the top senatorial depths, did not show up. Chairman Brillantes said it is still possible that, Nancy Binay is still technically proclaimed a senator despite her absence because of the certificate of proclamation that the commissioners signed earlier today. Chairman Brillantes also said the COMELEC decided to do a partial proclamation because there has been fears, apprehensions over election results and election problems. And Chairman Brillantes says the partial proclamation will quell these fears among the public. Maria?
Do we know why Nancy Binay wasn't there, Paterno?
Maria, we asked Chairman Brillantes about this, and Chairman Brillantes said there was no direct statement from Nancy Binay about her absence. But Chairman Brillantes said it is possible that this is connected to her to UNA's petition for the COMELEC to suspend Tuesday's proclamation.
Correct. She was with UNA. She's the only UNA party, and by not showing up, it can keep the petition alive. But have we heard from UNA about it? Has UNA said anything about her absence?
Maria, UNA has not sent any statement about Nancy Binay's absence, but the MD chair in the PICC a while ago was quite telling. Maria.
Okay. Thank you so much. That's Paterno Esmaquiel. He's coming to us live from PICC. He's been covering COMELEC through all of this and sticking close to the COMELEC commissioner. Now coming up, let's talk to Natasha Gutierrez live from the proclamation of senators. Okay, we're not quite getting Natasha yet. COMELEC Chair Sixto Brillantes says Nancy Binay is technically proclaimed despite her absence at the proclamation event.
The certificate of proclamation is the evidence of your proclamation. We have it already, and it is signed by all the commissioners. So as far as we're concerned, si Nancy Binay, has already been proclaimed.
Pero ano po sir yung dahilan bakit daw po hindi siya nakarating nagpasabi po siya?
Hindi. Hindi ko alam kung anong dahilan. Well, everybody can speculate. Pero ako, hindi ko alam kung anong reason.
May kinalaman po ba dun sa petition kanina ng
Baka.
Now let's go to Natasha Gutierrez, who's live from PICC. Natasha, tell me a little bit about the 6 senators who actually have been proclaimed.
Well, the senators who were proclaimed today were only, the ones that actually came here were only 5 because one of them actually didn't arrive here. However, the mood here is celebratory after the proclamation here at the PICC. You know, the Senator Beth came here with loved ones and family, all in high spirits, but clearly exhausted from the 90 days of the campaign trail. They were all accompanied by those who also helped them with the campaign, including Senator Chino Rivera, for instance, came here with his girlfriend, actress Marta Evangelista. He finished 4th in this midterm election. But of course, the loudest cheers came for the surprise of the 2013 midterm elections. Grace Poe, she ended up number 1. She came here with her family, her husband Neil Yamantar, so you haven't seen the campaign trail. All of them clearly ecstatic and surprised by her win, which Grace called partly because of divine intervention. Another one who came here with his family was Representative Sonny Angara, or now Senator Sonny Angara, with his father, who Senator Sonny attributes much of his win to. So, you know, clearly everyone here who came were ecstatic that all of this campaign is over, and that the proclamation has come and has arrived 4 days after the election.
Natasha, 3 of the 6 are women, and 2 of those are actually political neophytes. How did they feel about coming up now? Of course, Nancy Binay wasn't there, but how was Grace Poe?
Very natural, and I think that's what is actually appealing about her. You know, she came, obviously, you know, a part of her just surprised, not knowing what to expect, and you could just see, you know, the joy and the relief in her face. It was very clear that she didn't expect it. We talked to her husband, Neil. Neil was telling us that, you know, when they were waiting for the results to come in, they were all just so surprised about and shocked about the results. He said he even had a bet with Grace's son, Brian, with their son, Brian. And Brian said, you know what, I think Mom is going to end up in 8th place. And he said, no, I say 6th place. And so you can just imagine the surprise of the whole family, including Neil's 77-year-old father, who Neil said was the most ecstatic, jumping up and down, you know. And Neil said, hey, Dad, be careful, you might break your bones. But, you know, just from that story, you can feel how surprised and how natural the family is. You know, it really is they're not from a political family. As we all know, Grace's father, Ferdinand Poe, wasn't successful in his presidential bid. So this is really the first time that Grace or someone from their family is entering politics. So it was really quite refreshing to see someone like that. You could tell, you know, from their face, from the joy, from the mood of the family earlier.
That certainly seemed to have appealed to the voters. She was the main surprise so far of the elections, coming up at number 1. The other thing that's interesting, Natasha, is that 5 of the 6 of them all come from political families. So from there, how much of a sense of holding on to the past or moving or changing for the future do you get?
Yeah, you're right, Maria. It is actually quite interesting because we were here earlier and you kind of see all these familiar faces from the Senate. You know, we had Senator Sia Cayetano here, the sister of Senator Alan, and we had Senator Angara here for his son. So definitely it's all families, political families. However, what is interesting is that it's clearly a younger generation. You know, of the 6 who came in, I mean, most of them, all of them, obviously are under 60. The oldest, I think, I would say, is Lauren Legardo, who is in her early 50s. You know, it's a changing. I think it's a changing face. Senator Lauren, of course, is the only one who's not from a political family. But I do believe that yes, it's a familiar last name, but different faces, a different generation, and hopefully different ideas.
Okay, thank you so much, Natasha Gutierrez, live from PICC. The United Nationalist Alliance asks the Commission on Elections to explain who has access to election data after discovering someone from Smartmatic inadvertently deleted an election file. In a press conference, UNA's IT consultant Gadbert Mercado says he discovered the supposed deletion of what he called, quote, a regional file. Mercado says it was an aggregation file of party list and senatorial results.
The regional file stopped updating at 2:43 a.m. And at around 6:21 p.m. of the same day, the regional file, we ceased to receive. The explanation that they provided to us that Smartmatic conducted some routine maintenance. I'm using their words, and the regional file in question was inadvertently deleted. As IT people, the question that we're asking is, if the process is automated and we're receiving the data as it comes, then it seems that there was an intervention point.
Mercado says Smartmatic's database analyst Chirino Datoy admitted he deleted the file. Una says it is not alleging irregularity but asks the poll body to explain and investigate.
Tapos bakit hindi nila sinabing may naburang files na hindi sinasadya kung hindi pa sila tinanong?
COMELEC will stop the media and watchdogs from publishing election results from the transparency server and the COMELEC Rappler Mirror server once the Board of Canvassers starts proclaiming the senators. In a press conference, COMELEC Chair Sixto Brillantes says groups using the server can continue using it after the NBOC proclaims the winning senators. He says this will prevent confusion.
Ngayon, kung sakaling kung ititigil na
Suspend lang namin, meaning that we are suspending the transparency while we are proclaiming the winners. Nagkakaroon pa kami ng unofficial, kinipoprogram ng official. Hindi ko na magandang tingnan.
The National Citizens Movement for Free Elections, as well as PPCRV and the KBP, questioned the decision, saying this would result in a lack of transparency in the transmission of the remaining election results. Speaking about his experiences on the campaign trail, Team Pinoy senatorial candidate Bam Aquino, who is hovering around 7th in both the official and unofficial counts, says media plays a large role in elections. He says voters get more than 80% of their information from television ads, which are necessary, he said, to win.
the issue nga, it's really more the control of media in terms of the people who can win and who can't win on the national level.
Explain.
You need to be on TV to be able to win.
I see. Yeah,
and
yes.
to be able to be on TV, you need a lot of
You need
money.
money, yeah.
So it's not the equalizer that people thought it would be. Because
Aquino adds he wants future election reforms to consider candidates who can't afford TV ads and help level the playing field.
in the future, if there are reforms to be done, aside from strengthening political parties, one I think is supporting candidates who can't afford the ads and having them at a level playing field with candidates who can afford the ads.
We're going back to PICC. Ayi Makaraig is live from the National Board of Canvassers Operations at PICC. Ayi, what do you have? Ayi? Okay, we're going to bring Ayi back to you. Let's move on. We'll try to get her back on the phone. Okay, UP Diliman sociology professor Nicole Curato discusses the social and political trends in the 2013 midterm polls. Curato, the convener of UP Election Watch, says there needs to be conversations about the automated election process.
One of the challenges in terms of automation is how to explain to the public what the glitches are, where we're having difficulties with, because it's such an esoteric, complicated function, right? And this is one of the things I think we need to have a conversation about, because we tend to assume that when it's automated, it's necessarily good.
Curato says voters tend to choose candidates they can relate to, but she adds emotion-based choices have to be balanced by rational thinking.
I don't mind that people decide based on emotions. I think these emotions have to be tempered by rational thinking, although we have to be very careful what we mean by rational thinking. I've always held the position that we have to be very understanding on the different sets of rationality that people have when it comes to voting. I think,
what do you mean by that?
Yeah, because
The sun releases 4 huge bursts of radiation in 48 hours, releasing the biggest solar flare of 2013 on Tuesday. BBC reports the intense bursts of energy are all X-class flares, the strongest type. Robert Massey of the UK's Royal Astronomical Society says an X-class flare is equivalent to 1 billion hydrogen bombs. The flares send out charged gas into space, which can interfere with satellite and communication systems when they reach Earth. Well, let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 3, the White House releases about 100 pages of email messages related to an attack on a U.S. embassy in Libya to dispel claims of a cover-up. The assault on the U.S. mission in September 2012 killed 4 Americans, including U.S. Ambassador to Libya, Chris Stevens. The email messages showed that in the hours after the assault, various agencies debated which talking points to use in describing the attack and its causes. President Barack Obama's critics say the release of the documents left unanswered questions about the handling of the Benghazi attack. At number 6, a review of thousands of studies finds overwhelming consensus among scientists that humans are to blame for global warming. This contradicts a widely held view that scientists are deeply divided on the topic, a misconception that complicates efforts to win public backing for climate policy. Researchers review more than 4,000 scientific papers published between 1991 and 2011 and written by more than 10,000 scientists. Over 97% of scientists agree man-made warming is a reality. And at number 9, U.S. scientists say human cloning is used to produce early embryos, marking a significant step for medicine. The cloned embryos are used as a source of stem cells, which can make new types of cells in the body. The technique used, somatic cell nuclear transfer, has been well known since Dolly the sheep became the first mammal to be cloned in 1996. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. Let's go back to Ayi Makaraig, who's standing by at PICC. Ayi, what do you have?
Well, Maria, of course, the big story of the night is the absence of UNA senatorial candidate Nancy Binay. And the big question there is why. So it's odd because as early as this afternoon, we've gotten reports that she will skip the proclamation. So we tried to check this with her staff, and we were told as of 5 o'clock that she will be attending. But later on, UNA sources told us she was thinking twice about coming in deference to UNA's motion to postpone the partial proclamation of senators. They said that she might just wait for the rest of the senatorial candidates to be proclaimed. But oddly enough, even UNA campaign manager Toby Tiangco did not know whether or not she will be coming. Of course, we know that Nancy Binay is the only UNA candidate in the top 6. She has always deferred to the decision of her party, going back. Even her decision to actually run for senator was based on the prodding of UNA. So looking at her decision-making throughout the campaign, this is really no surprise. She has always deferred to the UNA stand, to UNA's position. So her absence here is actually no surprise, considering that it's something that she has always taken into consideration what UNA's position is. Another interesting scene here is between Senators Alan Peter Cayetano and Senator Legarda. The two actually kiss each other on the cheek and even raise each other's hands. If you recall, during the campaign, there was tension between the two re-electionists when Senator Legarda alluded to Cayetano as the man allegedly behind a black propaganda against her involving her supposed failure to properly declare a New York condo in her statement of assets, liabilities, and net worth. But tonight, Cayetano told us he never felt alluded to and does not see any rift in Team Pinoy. He always says he just speaks the truth and is never into black propaganda. Legarda also dismisses the intrigues now, saying she has moved on. This early in the proclamation, also we're hearing talks about the new Senate leadership in the 16th Congress. We talked to Senators Alan Peter Cayetano and Tia Cayetano, and they say it will be inevitable that there will be a new Senate President replacing Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile. They say that the coalition between the Liberal Party, the Nacionalista Party, and the Nationalist People's Coalition will likely hold in the next chamber, and the next Senate President will also likely come from the Liberal Party. But for now, all the senators-elect say they don't want to focus on politics and instead prioritize translating their respective campaign platforms into legislative agenda. Maria?
So Grace Poe's staff actually said that her absence has something to do, or may have something to do, with Una's questioning, wanting to delay the proclamation.
Nancy Binay.
Yeah, sorry, Nancy Binay, yes. So her staff actually said that.
Yes, because if we recall yesterday, Una filed a motion before the COMELEC asking the poll body to suspend the proclamation of senators. What they're saying is that they are against a partial proclamation, considering that a huge chunk of votes has yet to be transmitted to the National Board of Canvassers. They say that vote amounting to 8 to 9 million votes is relevant, and they would like that to be counted first, to be canvassed first, before there is any proclamation of senators. What campaign manager Toby Bianco said is that they want the COMELEC to be consistent, because he said that in the local level, even in his own congressional race in Navotas, they had to wait for 100% transmission, even if his lead was already very big. So that is their position. They want all, if not most, of the results to come in. And they said that as of this morning, we were only at about 70 to 76% of transmission. And we know that in the past days, Una has raised concern about the delay in the transmission, saying this delay makes the election results susceptible to cheating, so there might be possible. They've questioned the access of certain people to data of the COMELEC. So all these questions of Una focusing on the process of the elections, and this is why they said it is important to postpone the proclamation. Anyway, they said, what's wrong with waiting for all of the 12 winning senators to be proclaimed together? They said they want to ensure the credibility, the integrity of the elections. That's their priority. So no surprise, I guess, for Nancy Binay to defer to that position of Una. Maria?
Interesting. You mentioned the potential rift that happened during the campaign between Lauren Legarda and Alan Peter Cayetano. It was interesting to note Grace Poe, how she was standing next to Alan, and then she shifted over to let Lauren stand next to Alan. Grace Poe is the biggest surprise of this campaign. How would you characterize the way she's conducted herself now?
Well, Grace Poe, as Natasha talked about, of course, she was still very down to earth, standing beside re-electionist senators. And it is interesting to connect that to the rift between Senators Lauren Legarda and Alan Peter Cayetano, because pundits have been saying that supposedly if Senator Alan was indeed behind that black propaganda, it was allegedly because of his 2016 presidential ambitions that he supposedly wants to top the senatorial race. But of course, surprise for everyone, it was neither Senator Legarda nor Senator Cayetano, but it was Grace Poe who emerged as the #1 winning candidate for the senatorial race. So interesting move also from Grace Poe, but perhaps it was also her way to try to foster reconciliation between the two senators. Of course, you know that they are all belonging to the same slate, Team Pinoy, and as the two re-electionist senators have tried to do tonight, they say they want to move on from the intrigues. After all, they will be working together in the Senate. They want to move past that. So we will see. Although, of course, there's still some tension, it is that. But at least in words, they say that that's already behind them, and no one is admitting any fault anyway. So very interesting, Maria.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. That's Ayi Macraig, live from PICC. Every story on Rappler has a mood meter, which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. You click how you feel, and your vote comes down to the mood navigator that's in the middle of the front page. It crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the top 10 stories that have gotten the most number of votes on the mood meter. If we take a look today, these are the 10 stories that have affected our readers. And you can see the green that's here. Aside from the election stories, you do have Taiwan sanctions. Despite Philippine apology, that's gotten people angry, 67% angry. Taiwanese burned Philippine flags. But the majority of the stories, the other 8 stories that are here, are all about Philippine elections. Right in the center, the story that's gotten the most number of votes on the mood meter, Dick is in, Team Pinoy leads canvassing. This is in the main poll. We now know, of course, that Dick is already out of the magic 12 in the official count. But when that happened, you had 89% happy, contributing to the green mood of the day. Today, most people are happy. Well, that's Rappler's Newscast for today, Thursday, May 16th, 2013. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today. Poe, and it was Nancy Binay